What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill is we're up over 100 episodes. We're just hearing new stories, having new artists, and hearing new music. Like, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, because I started this whole thing 3 years ago now, which is kind of crazy. And actually, I think it's probably almost 3 years to the date now when the pandemic happened and everything. But it's wild, all the people that I have met and heard all the stories. And just like I said, just hearing new music is really what I love doing. And I just love hearing the backstories from artists. So obviously today we got a new artist on, and that is Abigail Christine Hill. Abigail, how are you today?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
And not too bad. Obviously, first and foremost, I can't speak today. I'm having trouble, but obviously, thank you for just taking time out of your day to be here. Obviously, I know with people's lives, obviously my life is crazy busy, but obviously,
Yeah, I
just
felt
thank you for
that.
taking time just to be here and to talk about your story through music today because I'm super excited to talk.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for talking with me.
No, of course. So really kind of just diving right into the first question because it really just sets everything up and it's the basic of basics, but where did everything kind of start for you? Because I know for some people it starts the day they were born. They start humming nursery rhymes and then slowly they start playing their first piano or their first guitar. But then on the other hand of things, some people don't start till later in life when it comes to music. Like myself, I only started songwriting and producing back in 2018, which was only about 5 years ago. So it's always cool to really just hear these stories. But for you, where did singing and playing and everything kind of come about for you?
When I was 4 years old, I started with musical theater. I saw a production of Annie, and I was like, I want to do that. And so I've been doing musical theater for a very long time since I was four. And then about 2 years ago, I've also been in a rock band for since I'd say it's been about 8 years now. So it's called the Golden Gypsies. But I recently started making my own music about a year and a half ago. And it's just been a blast. Like I get like lyrics in my head or melodies and I'll just write it down and yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, and that's awesome because like I always say is you can sit here and listen to all these great artists and like be like, "Oh yeah, like she has a lot of great songs though." Like that's really cool, but to me, the thing that's always interesting is to just hear those backstories on how people really start and just how they've kind of built their craft from here and just what else is coming down the road for them because it's always just cool to just like cuz like I said, you can sit there and listen, but to me it's like how did you like play your first piano? How did you start singing your first notes and stuff like that? Like that's always what interests me.
yeah.
And then I mean, obviously there's a lot of artists out there nowadays and there are so many inspirations. Like I mean, a lot of people like I always say Chris Daughtry because I know one day that he'll answer me hopefully when he sees this because I've been showing him out on like almost 100 episodes now, but like that he is just such an inspiration to me because I love his songs, I love his technique and just I've seen him live a couple of times and just to be able to like the performances that he does is just top notch and that's what
Mhm.
I love and it's always cool to hear what other artists who they kind of look up to and who inspires them. So for you, who are some of your inspirations when it comes to singing and songwriting?
So I would say a big one is definitely Taylor Swift.
Yep.
Another one is Melanie Martinez. I kind of love how she does sound effects in her songs and kind of the creepy vibe, but it's also like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's I've kind of been trying to do that as well. And Ariana Grande, of course.
Yeah, no, and I mean obviously big names right there, Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift, and then obviously talking about Chris Daughtry and stuff like that. And a lot of them are super talented songwriters. Like
Yeah,
just
for
them
sure.
being able to sit there and tell a story. That's what I love most about an artist. And that's obviously why I have you on and why I have a lot of artists on is because the creative process is such a cool thing. And I always love asking this question. It's easily one of my favorites, but I always have to quote Brick Walker, country artist who was on the show, and he kind of said it perfectly is the songwriting process is like a puzzle. Whether you have like that 100 piece, 200 piece puzzle, you have it all scattered on the table trying to figure out what fits where. And then eventually you start putting the border together, you start putting the middle together, and then piece by piece, you have this full masterpiece. You have this full thing to be like, hey, look what I just created, look what I did.
Right.
And obviously, you know, as an artist, anyone listening that's an artist knows, and obviously, I know as an artist too, there is no rhyme or reason to the songwriting process.
Right.
It is all kinds of craziness sometimes,
For
but
sure.
obviously you have a bunch of songs out right now and you've been killing it with your music. Obviously, we're going to listen to Backstabber in a little bit, but kind of what is your creative process like when it comes to creating music?
So a lot of the times I'll get a melody in my head and I'll just open my voice memos and put it through there because it's usually at random times, like I'll be driving or whatever the case may be. If I'm at school, I'll just like go to the bathroom real quick, do it, and then I'll come home and I'll like try to figure out the music for it first usually, and then I'll put lyrics to it later of what I feel and yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's always like that part right there is always the part that I find really cool because honestly, it's such a split decision sometimes. Is like a lot of
For
artists will come
sure.
on and say like, "Oh yeah, no, I have to do the melody first and then the lyrics come to
Mhm.
it." But then someone like
Yeah.
myself, like I love lyrics, so like I'm like, "No, like I need to start with the lyrics and I don't care what the melody sounds like. I'll worry about that tomorrow." But
Right.
it's just it's always crazy because like you said too is it comes like at it can come at 1 in the afternoon or it can come at 1 in the morning like as you're laying in
Mhm.
bed and then those voice
Yeah.
memos sometimes can be so critical.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes I'll get lyrics in my mind, but they usually don't rhyme at first. So I'll just like write them in and then I'll figure it out later and I'll like add them to a different melody or whatever the case may be.
No, exactly. And obviously with the voice memos too, I always just kind of have to add in the side note. You've obviously probably had a million voice memos and
For sure.
sometimes you go back and listen to those ones that you haven't like listened to in a long time and like you just go
Yeah.
because I did that the other day and I listened to one and I was like, what the hell was I thinking like when I was doing this? Like it was from like like 5 years ago now and I'm like, what is this? But then there's like a couple other ones you go through and it's like, oh wait, actually maybe I was onto something here and like
Right.
it
Like
just
sometimes you're like,
really
what
like
is
revamps
this?
everything. Obviously, I'm assuming that must all happen for you too.
For sure. Yeah. Sometimes I'll listen to it and I'll be like, what the heck? Like I don't even understand what I was thinking. And then sometimes I'm like, I could like add that in there somewhere to one of my songs. So it
Yeah,
just kind of depends, like you said.
exactly. No, it all depends. And then sometimes you just like once you listen to a couple of those that are bad, you're just like, yeah, no, these are definitely getting deleted at some point.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of artists out there nowadays. Obviously, you know it's hard to just get your name out there. It's hard to just get my
Right.
name out there and promote my podcast and stuff like that. And obviously you have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then all the
Mhm.
streaming platforms. And what I always tell artists is when you're going to promote one of your new songs, the minute you go to hit that post button to promote, there's 1,000 other artists hitting that post button at the same time as you,
True.
saying like, "Hey, like here's me, like this is my new music, come check this out. Like don't worry about what these other people are doing." And that's why this fourth question is always kind of a little difficult to answer, and it always gets the wheels turning for artists. But at the end of the day is what makes you you compared to these artists and kind of what can we take away from your music that we're not going to find in other artists' music.
So for sure, I would say my voice is very different. It kind of has that raspy sound to it. I also like to add a lot of creepy sounds, like I said, like I'll add them in there, I'll make it minor and add some sound effects as well. Usually I'll get it professionally done and then they won't have any sound effects and I'll add it in, just kind of like just because it makes it sound even cooler. Another thing I would say is very different about me is like I said, my voice. Let me think. This is a hard question. I would say I also kind of do everything myself. I do my cover art myself. I do the music, a lot of the music myself, and I write all of the lyrics myself. So it's just like all me. I also promote it myself. So
No,
yeah.
and that's awesome because a lot of times you don't hear that is like you're doing all the work because usually like everyone's like, oh no, I have a person for this, a person for that. But like that's what definitely makes you stand out and what makes you special is your vocals too. Because I always
Mhm.
tell artists like that's what I look for when I have artists on. I don't just invite any old artist on here to just be like, oh hey, you're a singer-songwriter, cool, like come on. But at the end of
Right.
the day, is you can put one of your songs in a playlist with 100 other artists that have been on the show but when yours comes on without looking it's like oh hey like I know who that is like because
Mhm.
of the things that you do like with your music with your melodies your vocals and your songwriting
Right.
and it's just it's super cool to always just kind of hear all these stories like I said and then looking towards the future is really what's kind of cool about things too, to see what else is coming because you have so many great
Sure.
songs out right now, and obviously music doesn't stop. It just keeps going, and
Hmm.
obviously as long as you're having fun and you're enjoying it, that's what matters most. But you have all these songs out. We're going to take a listen to Backstabber in just a minute here, but kind of some of your short-term and long-term goals, what else can we expect down the road from you?
So actually tonight, I'm uploading a video of some of my live music. And one of the songs that I did, it's with this guy named Rockstar Ryder. And so we made about, I would say, three songs together. And then I also made a couple more songs that will be coming out soon. So y'all can check that out. And so yeah, so I mean, I would say about five songs coming for sure.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's definitely like a big thing to do. And like, I obviously
Mhm.
can't wait for all that to come out. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of what you're doing. I love the
Thank you.
music that you have out right now, and I just can't wait to see what else happens for you.
Thank you.
No, of course. So kind of getting to the fun part of the interview now, which is always my favorite part, is hearing a song from you, which is going to be Backstabber. I'm going to play a little bit of that. But kind of before we do, is what is the backstory on this song?
So it's kind of a long story, but to cut it short, it's about fake friends. So I've had so many fake friends. I bet everyone has.
Hmm.
And it's called backstabber because I've been backstabbed a lot. I've had friends that have stolen money from me or talked behind my back. So I kind of say that in my lyrics and kind of just, it's kind of from the person that's getting backstabbed's perfection, like perspective. Like it's kind of from their perspective of like how it feels.
Yeah. No, and I like totally understand that. And that's what's really special about songs too, because it's been stuff from your prior experiences and it's like stuff that
Right.
you've dealt with and a lot of people have dealt with. But at the end of the day is you can release that song, which is obviously out on streaming platforms now, but you can sit there and say like, hey, like this is something I've been through, and if it's something that you've been through too, here's the song to kind of help you get through that and to know that you're not the only one going through this stuff.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So obviously, kind of without further ado, we're gonna take a little sneak peek to the song, and this is Backstabber.
I thought I knew you better than that. Gave you what you want, don't say I didn't. First time I say no, you act different. I thought I knew you better than that. But you smile in my face, talk behind my back. Gave you what you want, don't say I didn't. First time I say no, you act different. Dead end. Going back on what you used to say then. Heard you call me what you used to call them. I don't really understand your problem. You're the problem. Foolish of me, I used to trust you. Wish I knew then you got issues. Knife behind your back, guess I was blind. Secretly jealous of me the whole time. You're two-faced, need to get your story straight. I got the screenshot.
So I'm gonna pause that there because obviously you guys know I want you to go listen to that full song. I want Abigail to go get streams on that. So it's such a cool song. Like I love the lyrics, I love the melody, and kind of like you
Thank you.
said, like when you add those cool things and you can like hear like the like I guess like the sharpening of the knife or whatever, like you can hear
Yeah.
that in there and it's really cool. And it reminds me of one of your other songs. I believe it's Funhouse. Uh,
Funhouse, yeah.
it's so cool with that song too because like you hear like the carnival music like in it and then like the
Mhm.
clowns are like laughing and stuff too and like
Yeah.
the first time I listened to that I was like oh shit I was like wait a minute and I was like because you don't hear that every day in like people's songs
Exactly.
and that's like a great thing that really makes you stand out and like I said I'm just a huge fan of all the songs that you have and I can't
Thank
wait to see
you.
what else is coming for you.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
No, of course. So kind of before I do my little outro here, like I always do, is where can people actually go check you out on social medias?
So it'll be under TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It's at Abigail Christine Hill. And then I believe I also have an Insta where it's Abigail Christine Hill. So y'all go check that out.
Awesome. I mean, you guys definitely need to go check all this out. She has a lot of cool songs out there. The one that we just listened to is Backstabber. That's out on all streaming platforms. And again, Abigail, thank you so much just for taking time out of your day to be here and talk about your story through music.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, of course. So that kind of concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got new music, new artists, new stories. Never know who's gonna pop through. And obviously we hit 100 episodes, so now I guess the next goal is 200. So let's keep it going. And thanks for tuning in today, and I will see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.